So what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And I was doing some reorganization over the holidays, and I started thinking when I was putting my 4Ks from Screen Factory / Shout Factory together, they really haven't done a whole lot to scream about lately. Yeah, pun intended. But yeah, let's talk a little more in detail about Screen Factory, Shout Factory, and where I think they are today versus where they used to be. What are we waiting for? Let's go.
But he's still talking.
So what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the JeffMan316 Pop Culture Reporter channel. I'm your host, as always, JeffMan316. Yeah, that's me on the sign, because JeffMan316 Live is where we talk about a movie while we're doing a watch-along to a movie. Usually Sunday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. Come over, join us. And we also talk about physical media and all kinds of stuff there. But I started off, in the intro, kind of downplaying Screen Factory and Shout Factory. And there's a reason why. I remember in the heyday, 3 to 5 years ago, when a lot of Blu-rays were coming out, 4K wasn't a huge thing. I remember going to FYE, and one of the mainstays was I would always go. They had a Shout Factory or Screen Factory horror section in the back of the store, and it was multi-sided, and I would always go in there to see which movies I could find. I remember going in specifically and finding the Sleepaway Camp movies, and the first one had a slipcover and the other two didn't, and they had just gotten them in the store, so I was thinking, well, the slipcover must be kind of limited, and there'll be more about Sleepaway Camp in another video, but we're just talking about Screen Factory now. But they used to be, one of my go-to stores, FYE. Sadly, it's closed, and going in there and looking for those titles were cool, and they would often have a pretty good sale on those, and then a lot of times they would sell used copies. So I stacked up on the Blu-rays from Screen Factory back then. But so I would say 3 or 5 years ago, they were the top tier, upper echelon of boutique labels. But over the last 2 years, man, I really think they've taken a step back. They've concentrated on the wrong things. Now, before we get into it, I will say they have had a couple really good releases lately, so maybe they're starting to listen to some of the chatter, and I'll give them credit for releasing The Faculty. And they even, hey, did the carpet match the drapes, as I say?
Look, I've been meaning to ask her one question. Does the carpet match the drapes?
Oh, my God. Oh.
No, it didn't. They even had reversible cover artwork. Now, you could get it with the same one that matched, but I flipped it. And then they had an awesome release of Hush, which was stuck on, Netflix there for a while? For years. And so this even has got multiple cuts of the movie. It's got the Hush cut, which has got a new audio mix, and I think it's in black and white, and it had a reversible cover. But this type of thing is not the norm with Shout Factory and Screen Factory back in the day. And when I say back in the day, I'll give you an example of one of the movies that I remember going out looking for, and I was so happy when I found it, because they were the ones that were getting the main acquisitions of horror movies back then, and I loved it when they got Trick or Treat. You guys love Trick or Treat? And I remember all of their movies back in the day had newly commissioned artwork for the slipcovers. Look at that. Man, that is excellent. So all my Blu-rays on the shelf, newly commissioned artwork on each one. And then it was cool because they had reversible cover artwork, so you could reverse and get the regular artwork. And I do that typically, where I love it when the slip is alternate, and I'll put the theatrical in there so I can see both. Now, that was a typical release. It would be sometimes Blu-rays with multiple disc sets. It would have all new special features, things you hadn't heard before. It would be audio commentaries behind the scenes. A lot of stuff just made for them. Like I said, newly commissioned artwork, reversible cover artwork. That was just basically a typical release. And now it's not. And I know the prices are even outrageous. When you go in and get a typical release like that, Drag Me to Hell now, that thing is like $35, $32. And then even the Blu-rays of theirs are a little more expensive now. And then plus they re-release stuff, and that's another topic that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But one of the things that I think, and we'll stick with the topic of Trick or Treat, that I think happened is I don't know if you follow Planet CHH. He covers a lot of horror and physical media, but he had an interview with a guy, I think his name was Cliff McMillan, and he used to be involved with the acquisitions at Screen Factory, and I know Planet CHH questioned him and wanted to know why they lost, out on some movies like Sleepaway Camp. Like the rights reverted back to somebody else like really quick, and they couldn't get any re-releases, and that you don't have any 4Ks of those. And he went to work for Arrow Video, and so when it came time, for a 4K of Trick or Treat, you know who got that? It wasn't Screen Factory. It was Arrow Video. And guess what they did? You got a multi-disc set. You got reversible cover artwork. You got posters. You got all that in the regular re-release. And right now, this is on sale. Barnes & Noble's having their 50% off Arrow sale. $50. Normally, you can get it for $25. Way cheaper. And I rarely remember anything, a Screen Factory going on sale at any brick and mortar store. Walmart sells their Steelbooks, for regular basic suggested retail price. So I think what happened back then is when that Cliff McMillan left and went to Arrow, and then 4K started becoming more of a collector's, thing. Like most collectors want the best quality. They started focusing on that, and then they started focusing less on other things. And when I say that, Drag Me to Hell doesn't have reversible cover artwork. It's got a new 4K scan, and it's got like one new behind the scenes thing, but everything else is just ported right over. So they spend all their money on the 4K scans, and they don't give you a lot of the little details, the packaging, the stuff that made them, unique. They don't do that anymore. And I'm fine with a lot of these newer movies getting 4K upgrades, but do we really need 4K upgrades of everything like Funhouse? All those old 80s slashers. I know a lot of them, they do have slight upgrades in picture quality, the sound or whatever, but hey man, I've already bought all those one time. I've gotten to the point where I've talked about it in my videos. FOMO gets me with enough stuff, but I'm not going to be fear of missing out on those 4K scans. I don't buy a lot of them when they first come out unless it's a movie that I like. So I just wanted to let you guys know that FOMO is not always a thing. It's only sometimes a thing with me. But what I started thinking about is I don't get review copies and I don't buy everything. So I go out and listen to a lot of the YouTubers to let me know, how is the upgrade? How is the 4K scan? Does it pop? Is it something that's like, oh my God, I really need it? If it's just, hey, it looks pretty decent or whatever, I'm not spending all that money anymore upgrading all these 4Ks. It's got to look really good. It's got to be worth the money because they're not giving you the extra value anymore. They rarely put anything new on the 4K disc. And so Arrow to me is now kind of taken over and like went above and beyond. I mean, they take a movie like this that came out, The Woman, which I like this movie and I probably should talk about it more on the channel. Not only did it get a 4K restoration and it's got a poster and everything in here, it got alternate cover artwork because it came with the movie. I don't know if it's a prequel because it may be like the first movie in the series because there's 3 of them. And they put that on the alternate cover artwork. So you get that right out of the box. And like I said, these things are on sale quite often. Even Amazon matches those sales. What do they concentrate on now as far as Screen Factory? Swag, if that's what you want to call it. Like every time they release a 4K, it comes in this big bundle. You get enamel pins, which that burned my ass when they released that Halloween set. The 4K upgrades with that, and the enamel pins were late coming from wherever the distribution was coming out of, and all the people that got that main set got their sets way later than everybody else that ordered the regular ones if you wanted the ones with the enamel pins. So I don't worry about those anymore. If I get anything like that, I usually sell it. I got so much shit in here, I don't have room to collect everything. Posters, how many posters can you get? The posters that I like for the Halloween movies, some of the John Carpenter movies, I've hung all those up. I would just probably sell those if I get those. NECA figures, like with the new Night of the Creeps. Hey, you thought you got a limited edition figure of Tom Atkins? Well, no, you didn't, because they're releasing it again. Not only once, but an alternate variant of it as well. So they're concentrating too much to me on the swag that comes with it. And I know, like I said, you do get a 4K upgrade. So if that's your cup of tea, or if you want to upgrade, that's fine. But I think what it is some collectors are like me, and they're backing off a little bit, and they're trying to put all that stuff with it to make you buy it, almost like FOMO. They want to make you like, oh my God, I'm going to miss out. It's a collector's edition. But look what happened to those people who got the fucking Tom Atkins figure before. Oh, it's coming out again. Oh, it's going to be with the 4K, and it might be boxed different, but it's the same damn figure.
Do the letters FO mean anything to you?
Back then, they used to concentrate more on Shout Select. I remember when I picked up Clue, the 4K upgrade of that. I love Clue. Now, here's my problem. When's the last Shout Select really good movie that came out? Then Shout Studios. I mean, how many lines do you have to have? Why is Ted, which I love Ted, so I bought the upgrade. I heard the transfer was good, and it's got some new special features. 3 or 4 of them, but, well, at least 2 to 3, I think. But with that being said, no reversible cover artwork, no posters, nothing special. I don't know if it did, if you had ordered it on the site, but nothing really cool with that release. But it's under the Shout Studios line. I mean, how many lines do you need, and how are you dividing these movies up? I mean, why is that's not a Shout Select? Why couldn't it be that? But I don't remember the Shout Select line, getting like a really good run of movies like it did in the past. Damn, they had used cars in there at one time on 4K, on regular and 4K.
That's too fucking high!
Where are the Shout Select titles that are good? I've got tons of the, this is number, they used to number them, they did. This is number 152. I haven't bought one of these in a while, and they're only up to 152. They've just forgotten who they were, is what I think. Now, like I said, I know some people who have been collecting as long as me like the fact that they're releasing these 4Ks because it's the first time they've bought these movies. But not me, man. Some of these movies I've bought multiple times, and I'm just tired of doing it. So,
let's face it, I'm tired.
what are your thoughts on some of the things I'm talking about? Like, put it in the comments down below. But before we get into, before I end the video, the one last thing I wanted to touch on was Walmart. So it used to be that Best Buy would have a lot of the Shout/Screen Factory Steelbooks. And they were pretty pricey, but they were limited. And that's why you paid a pretty penny for them. And now they've re-released a bunch of them in Walmart. They look exactly the same to me. Pumpkinhead comes to mind, Point Break. I don't like the fact that something's supposed to be quote-unquote limited edition and then they re-release it. We talked about that in the comments of my FOMO video. Really watch that video because I talk about a lot of this stuff and it's kind of tying in with this and made me think, that maybe that's the reason that Screen Factory's gotten kind of lazy, is because they know collectors, they're bleeding us dry with that kind of stuff because we do have completist mentality, FOMO mentality. But to go back to those Steelbooks, they're not even putting a lot of effort into that. Have you seen the Steelbook for Drag Me to Hell? So they're pumping out multiple versions. And why not release everything all at once? This feels like it's turning into a rant. But why not release the 4K and the 4K Steelbook at the same time and let me decide which one I want? They've done it plenty of times where they release the 4K and 6 months later I go into Walmart and there's a damn Screen Factory 4K Steelbook of the same movie. Motel Hell, they just did that. Now I will say this, I skipped the Motel Hell 4K. Do I really need that in 4K? That's what I thought. I've got a really nice Blu-ray of that. And then they released a Blu-ray Steelbook, and then there's a 4K, and now there's a 4K Steelbook. But at least they changed the artwork on that one. The Drag Me to Hell, they changed the artwork, and it looks like hot garbage. So, enough of a rant. I just hope they're not as lazy. They put a little more effort into their releases. They don't release the same movies over and over again, just 4K upgrades. Put 2 or 3 titles a month that are brand new to the line. Get some better acquisitions. They're lazy. And I think they're just, like I said, they're relying on us collectors just to keep pouncing on the same titles over and over again. And I've had enough.
I'm in a glass case of emotion.
So what about you? Put in the comments down below. What do you think? Has Screen Factory gotten lazy? What do you think of their recent acquisitions, their recent releases, their mentality about swag, all that stuff that I just talked about? put your opinions about it in the comments down below. I really appreciate the support you guys have been giving me on a couple of my videos, because the thoughts that I'm having, the rants that I've been wanting to go on, it looks like a lot of you guys think the same. If you don't, a lot of you put in comments of like, well, I don't understand why you would do that. You don't have a collector's mentality, man, and it really does. FOMO and being a completist and a collector and all that kind of stuff really is a weird behavior. And so I've experienced it a lot over the years with collecting different stuff. So it's more to me of a mentality of whatever you collect. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to just be physical media. So support all those videos. Go back and watch the last 3 or 4 that I've done. Watch my unboxing. I got a cool, look, it's like I'm picking his nose. I got a cool Art the Clown Art Attack box set that I just unboxed. Join us when I do a live stream, and then just support the channel any way you can, including liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, doing all the normal YouTube stuff, hitting the notification bell if you are a subscriber. And if you are, I really appreciate the support, and hopefully we'll have great things coming up in 2025 and we can chat about this kind of stuff together. So until next time, boys and girls, this has been Jeff Man 316. I'm your pop culture reporter. I'm signing out saying you guys be safe out there.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.